This is the Feel Northern Air podcast with Joe and Melissa Bates.
Nothing feels like northern air.
Welcome to the Feel Northern Air podcast. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Joe.
And today we're going to be talking about something that is very important.
I don't even know if any of the fights I was ever in, I even landed a punch. It seemed like I landed on my back of my head half the time. But it was just a part of, I don't know, it was a part of that time. It was fun. Nobody got really hurt. I mean, just said and did a bunch of stupid stuff that might have made people think a little less of me, I guess, at that time. But
Yeah, I can just remember sitting in the car as that was all going down. And I looked at all the other guys that were in the car and I said, are any of you going to get out and help him? And they kind of looked at each other and I was just like, all right, I'm getting out and helping him. So I got out and I was like trying to calm the situation. And as soon as I got out, I think that guilted them into being like, yeah, we're not going to let the girl get out and get into the midst of this fight. And so they got out and helped.
I can't say that he always got me into trouble. I can remember one time we went to the Riverwalk and we had these squirt guns, and it kind of got the whole group in trouble because I thought it would be fun to shoot a squirt gun at a guy on a motorcycle and think of how agile and maneuverable motorcycles are, and they can follow you around for hours chasing you.
Which they did.
Which they did. I don't know if I should use them. We had picked up some people, two girls, I think, were with us that we had in the car that we were just, flirting with, and all, nothing bad going on. But I think it's one of the low points in my life to think back to what we did, because the guy was chasing us and the girl needed to go home. She was just like, I want to go home, whining and all this stuff. And it was late. She was going to be out past her curfew and her dad's going to be mad and all this kind of stuff. So finally we had her tell us where her house was, and we pulled up in front of her house, opened the door, and basically shoved her out the car because this guy on the motorcycle on our bumper the entire time. And he was older and bigger, and he had a group of other friends with motorcycles. So we didn't know what to do. We were afraid. So that was kind of I think back in time, if I could go back, that was a dishonorable thing to do to that girl. And she hopefully is not telling this story anywhere. And now they know who that person is. It was us that did that to her. But
yeah, I think when I finally came on the scene with you and Jay, because I met you both at the same time, we were working together in a hospital. And
yeah,
Jay worked there, you worked there, I worked there in dietary at a hospital.
yeah.
And I can just remember how much fun we all had together. We would have water fights in the dish room at the end of the shift sometimes, just had all these high-powered sprayers and we'd be spraying each other and having a good time. And I can tell how much you both, there was a lot of history. And I think you can kind of tell that when you're around people who have that history together, you can see it. And then also you could see how much you both cared about each other.
Yeah, Jay will forever be, I credit him to a certain degree with where I'm at today, in that I'm even a functional adult, really, because he brought me out of a time, probably unknowingly even, but he brought me out of a time where I just was in a dark place, and he brought light and some sense of there are decent people that do want to be a friend and all that kind of stuff. I know this is all kind of like wah wah poor me kind of stuff, but it really isn't. It's really just a huge part of who I am and where I've come from and what's made me, I think, so resilient today. And to be able to look around and think there are people like Jay all around the place. And when I'm going through life and things get difficult, I do think back to how he helped change my perspective. And it helps me to kind of look for people that were in my spot and try to be like Jay was to me and give them a little bit of encouragement and come along. It's just like to me, it's just boils down to he came alongside me without judgment, without any issue, and he really just walked me along through a time that, whether he knew it or not, that ended up changing my life. And I wouldn't, and when I see people today that I can tell, because I've been on both sides of it now, it just makes me think, I think I'm going to lean into that person a little bit and just give them some encouragement and let them know that not everybody is awful and that there is a good outcome, even when things look like they may be dark or not so favorable.
I think that's one of the hopeful things that we can take from the bad things that happen to us in life, is that we can use them either to make ourselves more empathetic, more understanding of other people, and more compassionate to other people, or we can allow it to destroy us. And it seems like those two possibilities are always before us. And I'm just so glad that you had made the right decisions in that. You know, you allowed it to change you and to make you a better person, and also to make you more like what you wanted for yourself to other people.
Right. Yeah. And and I don't know, I was developing who I was going to become at that time. And I think Jay has always been this way. And I think what I've become now is, and you've mentioned it before, kind of that lone wolf idea. It's like, I don't want to be the leader of everybody and have crowds and all this kind of stuff. I just want to do my own thing. And I'm going to do my own thing. And I don't care what people around me say or do or think. And I'm going to pursue what I'm called to do. And I feel like that's what Jay modeled for me back in like 6th or 7th grade, whatever it was. And I've watched his life, and he has lived that way consistently his entire life. He does his own thing and he has his own perspective, and I respect the heck out of him and I love him to death. And truly, I mean, there's like a few people on the planet that I would step in front of a bullet for, and he's one of them, no doubt. It's like, you ever hear the story? It's like your friend calls you and says something about having to go do some bad things. And the only question out of my mouth would be, where do I meet you and when? You know, there would be no question if Jay had a need of any sort, I would drop everything outside of my family and be there in a heartbeat for him. So we've been talking about me with that, but how has Jay's like impact in my life? Has that done anything from your perspective? I mean, it's been such a big part of my life.
Yeah, I think definitely you have a sense of loyalty, I feel like, that you probably had gotten from your relationship with Jay. And I've seen that play out in other relationships that you've had. Obviously, for me, I feel like you're very loyal to me. And I definitely appreciate that. And that I really feel like that stems from what Jay did for you when you were younger. And you always feel like this person is important to me, and I'm going to make sure I stand with them no matter what. I think of specifically a good example in my mind was your relationship with Joe Sexer. And here's this guy who is essentially competition for you, right? You guys both were in the heating and air conditioning business. You were both business owners. But you developed a relationship with him that no matter what, you were committed to making sure whatever he needed, you were going to be there for him. And I really think, again, that just stemmed from this relationship that you had with Jay when you were younger, even until, Joe unfortunately got sick. And I can remember, though, when they were going through that, Joe got a brain tumor. And when the family was going through that, and they have a big family. What is it? How many kids does?
10 kids.
Yeah, 10 kids. They were age range from, adult to very small. And you were like, what does he need? What does he need? And going and talking to him when it seemed like other people didn't really feel comfortable maybe being around him. Did you kind of get that?
I don't know how other people were, but yeah, it was just to me, it didn't matter. I mean, the guy was, again, there for me when I needed help. We talked about him a little bit in some of the past episodes, but yeah, I wanted to be there for him however I could be.
Yeah, it's really hard when somebody is sick and, trying to deal with all of that. But you went over there, you visited with him, and were able to be maybe a relationship, somebody, a friend,
Yeah.
when he was in so much pain and going through all of that, the health problems that he was going through. And that was, I think, a really huge portion of your life that I think just made me see how much you put into your friendships. And
I don't have a ton of friends.
yeah, no, you don't have a ton of friends, but the ones that you have are very dear to you.
Yeah.
And always will be.
Yeah, and that probably stems from that time. Again, it's, man, you got like this stuff that happens to you when you're a kid and how it impacts you later in life. And as I look back, it's like I don't trust anybody. It's like you've said about me. It's what do you say?
I used to call you my pessimist. You were my pessimist. I'm the optimist in the relationship.
But
You're the
I am the
pessimist.
most optimistic person. You have to be crazily, you have to be unrealistically optimistic to be in business.
Yeah, I think what you used to say, you didn't call yourself an optimist, you didn't call yourself an optimist, you called yourself a realist. And so that's kind of how you got around the whole pessimist thing. But I think for people, I've really kind of distilled it down watching you. I think with people, you are pessimistic. Like you're always waiting for people to let you down and you're anticipating it. And so when those people come along that you really allow in, you're tight with them.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely true. And that totally comes back. I don't know if that was like Jay's doing, but he definitely flushed that out when I was younger. There were so many people around that I couldn't trust at all. Very close people, even. And so I have to agree with you. I am pessimistic when it comes to people, generally speaking. I typically think the worst, and I don't trust anyone until they give me a reason to. It's kind of my way of thinking. But once I do trust somebody and I have put that into action through whatever friendship we have, then yeah, it is pretty tight.
Yeah. Yeah, you're willing to stand with someone who is going through a hard time. In the case of Joe, somebody who was dying, and you're willing to stay with them and be whatever they need.
Nothing feels like northern air.
FeelNorthernAir.com